with everything on that front. So things to definitely pay attention to. Some companies are doing great. I know that Apple is up to $332 a share. We're up 3.3% today, so not bad. Does IBM have room to grow? IBM certainly can turn things around, yes. What military stock interests me? I'm a Lockheed Martin shareholder. That's my favorite. Do you think Meta will do well with earnings next week? We'll see. We'll see with Meta earnings. I'm excited to see how things turn out. A lot of what's been going on with the Mag 7, I think Google really set the tone with their earnings earlier this week with respect to the Mag 7. But it's down about 2% or 1.6, 1.5%. I don't think that's anything to be a huge concern. Obviously, their earnings are coming out next week, so that sentiment could change depending on what happens. I was told CBZ is a buy. I have never heard of this company. They're a small cap company. What do they do? Insurance advisory services. Oh, financial services, that kind of stuff. To be honest, I have no idea about these guys. I can't call them a buy, sell, or hold at the moment, to be honest. Intel, what price is a good price to buy Intel at? With respect to Intel, that's a tough question to answer. I'm surprised. So Intel obviously knocked it out of the park with its Q2 earnings. I think what we're seeing with today is profit taking. Down 8% is quite a significant amount. Even at $90 a share, this is still pretty expensive for Intel. Very expensive in my view. I don't think the company is worth this much money. And I think that if you're going to make the argument that it is, I'd love to see the bull case for it because I really haven't seen it. What's going on with SpaceX? What's going on with SpaceX is something that I think it's going in the right direction. Is what's going on with SpaceX. SpaceX is worth somewhere around $65 a share. It's still massively overvalued. Anybody who got in, after $200 a share post IPO, they're feeling it, and they're feeling it pretty bad. Thoughts on Zeta? It's all right. It's okay. Bloom Energy after the pullback. Tony, I think that the party with Bloom Energy is probably over. I don't think we're going to get back to, say, above 300 a share with Bloom Energy. Buying SpaceX soon at $45. There you go. Yeah, soon. That could happen very soon. It's entirely possible. So we'll see. Chip stock party finished. We'll see. I think Mag 7 earnings are going to set the tone for next week. As soon as we see Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft next week, I'm very curious to know because a lot of people have been talking about how Amazon, Meta, Google, they're keeping a lot of their debt. They have a lot of off-balance sheet debt through SPV separate entities. This isn't anything that's entirely new or original. It's allowed by U.S. GAAP accounting rules. But if it grows to a big enough level, it can be very, very suspicious. And that's why a lot of people have a problem with it. There's an energy problem for all the data centers being built. Why not Bloom? Because while I think their niche is interesting, I think that there are other companies better suited to provide that energy. I think Constellation's in a better position. OKLO could be another one. Another good energy play as well. Oracle, I don't like. The Oracle's debt starting to become a problem. Doesn't surprise me that it's down nearly 4% today. I think that Oracle probably has some serious execution risk with respect to OpenAI commitments. OpenAI is not going to spend all the money that they said they're going to with Oracle. So, I'm steering clear of Oracle. It's by far my least favorite hyperscaler. And they got downgraded to BBB- by S&P. Uber 52-week low. What happened? Yeah, what is going on with Uber? Ooh, ouch. Yeah, down 4.6% today. It looks like there's a new headline about layoffs going on at Uber. So that's probably why we saw this sudden drop off right here. They may have just announced layoffs. So we'll see. OKLO gone. I think OKLO's okay. It's not bad. I think it's likely to be. It could be one of the big winners with respect to providing energy for data centers. Especially if you want exposure to nuclear. So there's things to like about it. The regulatory hurdles are going to be pretty intense, and in the correction that we're seeing in the stock today that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. Well, what's going on, man? You see, Google had negative cash flow. Yes, yeah, negative free cash flow for the first time. The increased CapEx guidance makes sense. Increased CapEx dollars make sense. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think what people really need to pick through the weeds on is what the off-balance sheet debt looks like for Google, and what the implication is of that as a result of data center development. I own Oklo at $83, 100 shares. Oof, ouch. Do you think Micron has had its day? To be honest, Jake, I think that Micron. So, with NeoClouds, semiconductors, a lot of stocks are suffering today. Intel, all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of the correction that we're seeing as a result of all that is things that are going on in the Middle East at the moment, namely the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. That would be my guess as to why we're seeing this big of a correction. I don't think it's over for Micron. The fundamentals are there for the company. In the semi space, Micron is in many ways like Nvidia. It's a dominant player. It's gonna be here, and it's got really, really good staying power. What is negative free cash flow? When will Take-Two Interactive be profitable? I think it will be this quarter. Thoughts on ServiceNow? I think we finally saw our support for ServiceNow at about 92 per share. Great business, solid business. Around 92, 93, I think would have been a solid entry point. We'll see how things go for them. Obviously they've had a bit of a rough year. There are lots of things to like about ServiceNow. Don't get me wrong. They got a really solid business on their hands. They've done a great job of integrating AI agents. There's just a lot of stuff that needs to go right for them in the future, which is doable, totally doable. That's completely doable. You think about the next Fed meeting? Will they raise rates? Riva, yeah, I think with the way inflation data has been trending, I'd imagine they'd probably raise rates by about 25 bips. When I think about Oracle, I'm avoiding it. Oracle's downgrade. Oracle's it's not great. Not a fan. Is Cisco overvalued? Cisco Systems. I haven't looked at Cisco in a long time. To be honest, I don't know. I'd have to take a close look and see how earnings have been, quality of earnings, all that kind of stuff. I'd imagine it's on a pretty good path. And it's in the right space with all the data center development and AI and all that kind of stuff. So it could be pretty good. It could be a good play. I can't say for sure at the moment. What do I think of Lucid? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. SK Hynix after being down 9%. Is that true, or are they down? Oh, yeah, they're having a rough day too. I mean, the way I think of it, SK Hynix is the Korean version of Micron. The fundamentals are there. They talk the talk and walk the walk. SK Hynix is the real deal. SanDisk done? No, I don't think so. CoreWeave? CoreWeave is cat poo wrapped in dog poo. Oh, it's so beautiful. I own multiple short positions in this company. I'm having a great day with CoreWeave. This is not a good business, and it's still massively overvalued. CoreWeave's worth about $25 a share, intrinsic value. Nebius over CoreWeave, yeah, that's true. But Nebius, I'm not super excited about, to be honest, and they're having an even worse day. Ouch. Listen, NeoClouds, I'm not bullish on the entire business model for them long term. Once data centers come online for hyperscalers, I think it's by and large over for these guys. So we'll see. I mean, CoreWeave puts since $110. There you go. I've got short positions at 103, 95, and $92 per share in CoreWeave. Thoughts on DRAM? It's not a great day. I don't like sector ETFs like this. I'm usually not a big fan of. I'd rather just buy the best business that the ETF holds. I can understand why people want exposure to everything that DRAM holds, like whether it's SanDisk, Western Digital, or Marvel. All great businesses. All of them have things that are good about them. But you're buying the good with the bad when you get into an ETF like this. So you don't see CoreWeave bouncing. I mean, it could bounce, but long term, I think it's down. I'm a huge bear when it comes to CoreWeave. Massively bearish on CoreWeave. It's just it's complete. It sucks. It's not a good company. There will hopefully no CoreWeave bounce. Hopefully not. Thoughts on AAOI? Yeah, Applied Optoelectronics. I may do a deep dive into these guys next. This is an interesting company. I know they're not profitable, but the fiber play here is pretty interesting. I don't know when their next earnings are. Revenue growth is supposed to be, I mean, here according to Google or Yahoo Finance, we're supposed to be 74 to 92% revenue growth. That's interesting. Obviously had a rough day. Could be a good entry point. CoreWeave has $1 billion in backlogs, big man. Zach, you should go watch my deep dive into CoreWeave. They also have $25 billion in debt, and half of which is floating rate. And the more revenue they make, revenue growth has been impressive with CoreWeave. They're losing money faster. Their margins get worse the more money they make. And by the way, they have like 4 customers, and they're competing with 3 of them. So, not a good business model when you compete with your own customer. It's kind of wild. Bought DRAM at 53, stay until 60, maybe wait till 89, ride the wave. Yeah, I mean, listen, so these wild swings that we've seen in recent weeks with the semi and memory space isn't, like it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I get that. When you have like big holdings in that, like SanDisk, SanDisk is down 11% today. I think we're seeing kind of another panic sell-off of semiconductors like we saw a couple of weeks ago. And this is probably due to some macro factors that we're seeing, like what's going on in the Middle East, as well as Google earnings. I think Google earnings spooked a lot of people, particularly about their CapEx guidance as well. Is there an inventory glut? There could be, Mr. Capote. I don't know that for sure, though. Think about Robinhood. I heard rumors that they're going to get into the prediction market space. That would be pretty interesting. I avoid prediction markets like the plague. It could be interesting for Robinhood. I kind of don't wish they do it because I don't know how you protect your users from insider trading. Big swings is a sign of the top. Same thing that happened in the dot-com bust. Yeah, it's a question of, will we see more big swings though, Al? I don't know. I'm not somebody who likes to call the top or call the bottom. I think like Warren Buffett says, time in the market is always better than trying to time the market. I think a lot of people could get burned if they're going to try and time the top. It's a very tricky game to play. What financial career did you pursue, Mr. Capote? I was in investor relations and capital markets and commercial real estate. Also asset management. Is Robinhood already in prediction markets? I didn't know that. Are they actually? Is that true? Like, can you place a Kalshi or Polymarket style bet on Robinhood? Because if that's true, that's awesome. Any cheap stocks that are good? They're harder to find nowadays, chicken wings. I'll say that. Okay, interesting. Learn something new every day. I didn't know Robinhood did that. ServiceNow. It's nice to see that they're bouncing, that they had a good day. I honestly think it's deserved. They do, relative to other SaaS companies, I think that they deserve their premium valuation. My target price for them was around $90 a share. So if I have stock in ServiceNow, I'd hang on to it for now, but I'd watch it closely. Tesla, I don't like Tesla. No. Where'd you do the most hands-on investments? AM Capital Mart. It was commercial real estate deals, specifically like single tenant, triple net lease stuff for a variety of different clients. Warren and Jamie both say that the market is way overvalued and risks are underappreciated. Yeah, I know they said that, and I don't fully disagree with them. But like I said, I'm not going to try and call that, yeah, we're at the top of the market and we're about to fall off a cliff tomorrow. The signs are there. Don't get me wrong. All I can say now is I'm paying very close attention to what's going on. SoFi's okay. A lot of people are really stoked about SoFi. To be honest, I'm not. They're basically a bank with a very sticky ecosystem with some extra bells and whistles, which is cool. It's a solid business. Don't get me wrong. Is it a $21 billion company? I mean, it's expensive for financial services relative to earnings. What's a good stock to, in your opinion, to enter now? In my opinion, I like Take-Two Interactive. Take-Two Interactive is one of my highest conviction bull plays at the moment. Let's talk Carvana. What about Nebius? Nebius is fine. I'm just like NeoClouds in general. I'm just not a big fan of. And Oracle, I'm not a fan of either. Thoughts on the current price of Meta, Microsoft, and NVIDIA? NVIDIA is at an interesting price, I think. But again, the thing that I want to pay really close attention to with the Mag 7 is what earnings look like next week for Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon. Google led the pack the other day. They beat earnings, negative cash flow for the first time ever, increased CapEx guidance, and a lot of off-balance sheet debt. So, does that mean we have an Enron style situation on our hands? I don't think so. I can't say for sure though. It's not a red flag. I'd call it a yellow flag. I have Micron for 36,000 euros, only have 24 sale. What do you thought? I think, listen, the fundamentals are there for Micron. I could see it going back above $1,000 a share. Their backlog's real. Their RPO is real. Their fundamentals are real. What does negative cash flow mean for Google? What it means is that the company had more cash outflows than inflows for the first time, and that's because they're spending a massive amount of money on data centers. Do I invest long term? I do, Callum, yeah. Brent short easy play? No, I don't mess around with oil. Especially not in today's world. I'll watch it, but I'm not Mr. Global. I'm not knowledgeable enough to know what the right move is there. Thoughts on when to buy Oracle? Not now. I'll tell you that much. I don't think so. The credit downgrade is not good news. They have massive credit risk from OpenAI spending commitments. Don't love it. Can you explain about earnings about next week? What are we expecting? Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon are all reporting their earnings next week. Nick from YouTube says, loved your write-up on RSRG. My wife has been a nurse for 15 years and asked her if there are any products that she saw and were good in the medical field. She says the Da Vinci robots. Nick didn't finish his comment, but yeah, for those of you who are curious, I just posted my deep dive on Intuitive Surgical, this stock, ISRG. That I think is about a 35-minute YouTube video. This is an interesting company. This was a hard one to do as well. To be honest, I think it's overvalued. It's an incredibly good business, though. Really love what they do. They have a fantastic moat. There's a lot of strengths about it. It's the valuation that it's a hard pill for me to swallow. Yeah, Brent will eventually come down. I'm not saying long term, but I think it's 99%. Yeah, the thing is that oil whipsaws all over the place. Extremely volatile. Would you dump SpaceX with more shares coming to the market? Yeah, I mean, with the lockup periods ending for SpaceX, I'm sure a lot of employees are going to cash out. A lot of insiders are going to cash out of their SpaceX shares. That could be an interesting opportunity if the share price falls to, say, between 60 and 70 a share. I could look at it. I'm going to definitely take a look at their earnings reports, though. To be honest, it's like it's a pretty good short, to be honest, in my view, for SpaceX. Sorry, just missed it. What's the Oracle play? I'm avoiding it. I'm avoiding Oracle. Is the Tesla merger concerning? To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if it happens. I don't get why they would do that, though. What do you think about the bottleneck for photonics and also humanoid stocks? Frank, give me a ticker and I'll let you know. IBM took a big hit. I worked there. My stocks vested right at the dip the week before it's 300 plus. Ooh, Mike, I'm sorry, man. Oof. Hang in there. Hang in there. Yeah, that's a rough hand to get dealt. I'm sure IBM is a solid place to work. And I know like the fact that management tried to jump the gun on the Q2 earnings was a big boo-boo. But it was going to be ugly regardless. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. I need to look at IBM's fundamentals and it as a business to see if it's the right play. NVIDIA into earnings. There's a lot to like about NVIDIA. I think though it'll probably do well. We'll probably beat with NVIDIA. I don't know how much the stock will move though. Because it's all going to be about what the guidance is with respect to GPU backlog. Namely with like Blackwell chips, that kind of stuff. We'll see. We'll see with NVIDIA. I'm a little more nervous about Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon earnings and see what their guidance is like. Why do I like Take-Two Interactive? I like Take-Two Interactive because they finished amortizing. They finished all the impairment charges of IP and goodwill as a result of the Zynga acquisition from 2022. Their profitability greatly improved from Q4 25 to Q1 26. And I don't think the market is correctly priced in future sales of Grand Theft Auto 6. It's going to smash. They're going to knock it out of the park. The lifetime value of that game for that label alone is insane. My target for this company is $285 a share for now. That could go up. What do you think about Palantir? Palantir, incredible growth, incredible growing margins, pretty insane business. The market's overhyping it, though. It's too expensive for my taste, and I'm not a fan of their management. IONQ, it's early. To be honest, I think it's a little early for Quantum. There's a lot of things to be excited about in IONQ. It feels early, though. It feels early. I mean, granted, I took a decent look at Rigetti Computing, RGTI. That's a black hole of cash. I mean, you invest money into that, it's going to go straight into a black hole. The commercial applications, I think need anywhere from 18 to 24 months to actually generate real cash. That could be too long though, but we'll see. I can see why people like IONQ. It feels a little early for me. Any thoughts on MSTR? A House of Cards. Strategy Inc. This is a House of Cards built on quicksand. Avoid at all costs. What are my favorite stocks? I like Take-Two Interactive. I liked Reddit a lot until that Google news the other day. I think Reddit did okay today. Yeah, basically flat. I like Waste Management, and I'm bullish on Nike as well. I think Nike can turn it around. There are reasons to like Mag 7 too. So Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, these guys, except Oracle. Just because they're raking in massive amounts of money. And their valuations make sense in a lot of ways when you think about it. Is that sketchy? Why would IBM management jump the gun in the sales results? Probably because they want to. My guess is as to why the board released that letter before their actual earnings was to let people digest what they were saying, so that way they could contextualize earnings when they came out. Because when those two things come out at the same time and they're both very bad, they probably wanted to control a negative overreaction more by feeding bad information or bad news sooner. So that way when people actually see the numbers, it makes more sense to them as opposed to getting hit with two things, like a double whammy. We'll see though. Like with IBM, there's definitely like it's not over for IBM. There's a ton of things to still like about them. There's a little concern about the fundamentals, I'm sure. It'll probably own a market overreaction though. What happened to Intel? People are taking profits, I think. I mean, Intel absolutely knocked it out of the park with their earnings report. It was honestly fantastic. I'm less bearish on Intel than I was. I'd imagine a lot of this is profit taking though. I mean, there's market volatility and still some investor concerns. I still think Intel's too expensive at this price. I'm not buying it at this price. So, if anybody has a solid bull case for Intel, like a well-written, well-researched bull case, I'd love to see it. Nick from YouTube. Appreciate the comment, man. Thank you. Nike target, 57 a share. That's my target for Nike. It's very unpopular right now, and understandably so. No, I think they have their problems. I think they'll be able to turn things around. What are you buying at this price? Everything's expensive. Piero, I agree. There's a lot of stuff that's expensive. It's harder and harder to find deals in the market nowadays. I think the biggest deal that you can find right now is probably TTWO, Take-Two Interactive, in my view at least, and from the deep research that I've done. But Intel knocked it out of the park. I know they did. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a good analogy for today's market. You knock it out of the park, you go up 12% after hours, and then you get punished for it. In a lot of ways, I mean, there was a serious improvement in the fundamentals, and yet it still scares people. So for those of you who are very high conviction, very bullish, and have a high conviction about your bullish position on Intel, could be a decent entry point. I mean, this is a big correction. I'm not fully convinced of being a bull on Intel yet, though. My sentiment has gone from bearish to bearish neutral, I guess you could say. They have a long way to go before they really start making money. What are your thoughts if Reddit does not extend the contract with Google? Yeah, that's concerning. That may move things. That may shift my sentiment on Reddit. Its earnings growth, though, as just a core advertising business, and its KPIs, its metrics, daily active unique visitors, are all growing very steadily and at a strong rate. And I think it can sustain that growth for a while. We'll see, though. There's a lot to like about Reddit. With the Google deal coming into question, it's kind of like the hot fudge and peanuts and cherry being taken off your ice cream sundae. So still a lot to like, but it sucks, because you want all the fun bells and whistles. But we'll see. Do you think PE ratios are misguiding memory? That's a great question. I think a lot of people are paying way too much attention, placing way too much weight on forward PEs in memory. I think that memory and semis, I mean, that they're closely correlated, right? With respect to how they'll move in the future, I think with next week's earnings for hyperscalers will kind of give us an idea of what the next, 3 to 9 months look like. ¿Puede ser en español? Hablo niño, sí. Claro que sí. Hablo español. Dame una pregunta. Nebius at this price, NVIDIA announced 10% stake. Yeah. So NVIDIA is announcing a stake in everyone, though, right? I mean, there's circular financial relationships going on. That's questionable. That just because NVIDIA is saying, yeah, we'll give you a stake, we'll provide you some capital, give you a backstop, that doesn't make Nebius suddenly a better business. As far as the actual business model itself of being like a neocloud provider, of basically once being a Bitcoin miner turned into GPU landlord for AI companies, I'm not excited about the long-term prospects of it. Don't get me wrong, Nebius is in a better financial position than some of its competitors and peers. Absolutely is. It's too expensive for me, though. Do you think it's best to make any play after hyperscaler earnings due to their significance? I think the right move as soon as we find out hyperscaler earnings is to read all of their filings and all their data and everything that they publish line by line. Read all of it. All the footnotes, all of the exceptions, everything that's starred and asterisked. And that's because I think that's where you'll find out what the relationship is between the special purpose vehicles carrying a lot of the off-balance sheet debt for companies like Google and Meta. Meta is a great example. Its entire the entire data center in Louisiana that Meta's building right now is off Meta's balance sheet, and it's a pretty big operating it's a lot of debt, and it's a very big operating lease liability in the future. Oracle or ServiceNow on these prices? I like ServiceNow more than Oracle. But is it they want more traction on their site and they value their data? Thinking, oh, Olaf, you're talking about Reddit. Yeah. So with Reddit, I think that there's better room for growth in Reddit, than others, because the interactions are higher quality on Reddit and they have higher intention than other social media platforms. That's why, and it's because its users are anonymous. So yeah, I do think it can expand advertising revenue. I mean, it was up by like 69% year over year. It was really, really good. SoFi, Adrian, SoFi, I'm not that stoked about, to be honest. What do you think of Big Bear AI? Do we have a ticker for them? Thoughts on Nuclear? Yeah, Nuclear. There's a lot to like about Nuclear. I certainly can understand why people like Nuclear. I'd love to see more bullish info on Nuclear. I'd love to see a solid bull thesis on a company like this. It's the regulatory approvals that make me nervous about Nuclear. That's why I'm a little bit more in the solar camp, but I'm absolutely willing to be a part of the Nuclear camp as well. If people who are more knowledgeable than I am about the regulatory hurdles and about the technical factors that go into making it actually happen, I'd love to learn from those folks. Thoughts on CoreWeave? Complete loser. My highest conviction play at the moment, actually. I have 3 short positions in CoreWeave. Complete, yeah. Avoid, or short if you want. Would you say your constant comparison to bubbles can stave off demand in AI to the bubble? Wait, hang on. Let me read that again. Alex says, would you say our constant comparison to bubbles can stave off demand in AI to the point it won't pop? No. No, I don't. There's no market ever in the history of publicly traded markets that has been immune to overvaluation and that kind of stuff. That we don't have a historical example of that happening. And I'm not convinced that it'll happen in today's market or in the future. Scale 1 to 10, how far are we now in the AI boom, do you think? Um, so I hate calling the top or I hate calling the bottom. What I will say is I think we're probably in the bottom of the 6th, top of the 7th inning out of a 9-inning baseball game. Will Google continue dipping? We'll see. We'll see, Kapar. I could see it. I could see why people are spooked from that Q2 earnings report, even though things look good for the most part. But we'll see. Thoughts on Micron? They walk the walk and talk the talk. They've got the fundamentals are there. Thoughts on Google versus Nebius? Google. Diamond, it's as good as it's get. Thoughts, Alex? I didn't see all that. I'd have to read the article or the interview. Thoughts on Nike? I'm bullish on Nike. I like their management. I think they can turn it around. They're going back to basics. Uber, yeah. Uber's an interesting one. I know, like, if what's interesting about Uber is it's had a pretty bad year. I mean, year to date, it's down a lot. It's down a lot over the past year. It could be worth examining the fundamentals of Uber at this point because they still have decent earnings. Their beta is manageable. It's only 1.1. And as far as what their balance sheet looks like, that could be in a very low cost of capital. Taking a look at what their financials look like as of late, at least on a quarter-over-quarter basis, my guess is that this is probably seasonal right here, why we see such a big dip in net margin. And Uber has always had a thin profit margin. I think the interesting play with Uber is a merger or an acquisition of Grab. That would basically make them as big, like that would put them in East Asia and Southeast Asia in a very big way. And I know for those of you who watch it closely, I know that like Nancy Pelosi loaded up on Uber stock, so take that as you will as well. Thoughts on DRAM? A great ETF for those who want exposure to that space. It does its job as an ETF as far as the performance of the underlying companies. If I'm going to put my money into an ETF, I'd rather look at something like VOO, to be honest. Because if I'm parking money into an ETF, I don't want to think about it. Thoughts on IREN? How is IREN doing today? I'd imagine not great. Bad. Pretty bad. So IREN, I treat kind of like Nebius in a way. It's not as bad as some of its competitors. I think the management's certainly taking an interesting play with the whole renewable energy approach to things. That's interesting. What does not interest me is the valuation. I think if IREN, I know there's kind of support for it sitting at around 31 a share. If it broke below that, that could be an interesting entry. Will the Fed keep interest rates the same next week? Great question. As far as I know, the odds are currently a coin flip, but someone go check on Kalshi and see what the current odds are. I'd love to know what the current odds are of the Fed in its next meeting. Oracle long term. I don't know about long term. I don't like it right now though. Is Ondas a go buy? Juan, I think Ondas is too expensive. I know they've had some wins. The market's rewarding them pretty heavily for that, though. For a very small kind of drone-related defense contractor at what, 87x earnings, that's pretty expensive. If they win a cost-plus deal with the Pentagon, I know I'll get in too late, so we'll probably see a 2 or 3x pop if that does happen. I will almost, in some ways, depending on what the numbers would potentially look like in that situation, would almost like it better. But for now, it's on a watch list. I'm watching it. It's cool what they do. It's fun watching them win, their deals here and there. I think the market is overhyping them a bit too much. Is Micron and TSM overpriced right now? Should I take profits? Go. Well, I mean, Fatty, it depends on, or Fady, I don't know how to pronounce your name. It depends on what you got in at Micron at. I mean, if you're happy with your profits and you want them, then take them. We'll see what will happen to certain stocks if they raise interest rates. If rates go up, if rates go up and bond yields go up too at the same time, it's probably a bad day for everybody. Thoughts on SK Hynix? The Korean version of Micron, they're the real deal. 100% the real deal. Thoughts on the quantum sector? I think quantum is early. It feels early for me. I get why people love quantum. I'm excited by quantum too. It just feels a little bit early. IonQ, really cool stuff that they're doing. It still feels like they're in proof of concept phase a little bit though. How do you learn market research? Mason, how much time do you have? How much that's a 4-hour, 5-hour conversation with no end, honestly. Will Oracle's gain their momentum back? I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think the market is rightly pessimistic about Oracle right now. Yeah, I don't listen. This a lot of what their future earnings depend on or contingent upon is OpenAI delivering. I think OpenAI is less than a 50% chance of spending all that money they said they would. OpenAI's delayed their IPO. We don't know when it's going to happen. It was supposed to happen before the end of this year. The rumor mill said at least. So we'll see. I think with Oracle and the credit downgrade is not good either. With S&P taking them from a triple B to triple B minus isn't great. Do you like Arista? Yeah, it's interesting. I have to take a closer look at their revenue streams and the quality of earnings. They're in the right space though. I don't know quite enough about them though. They're probably seeing a lot of strong demand. They're probably having a bit of a revenue revenue backlog as well, like a lot of other players in this space. Think Amazon will be downgraded as well? I don't know. I don't think so. We'll see though. Next week's earnings could change things. Market research YouTube video series idea? Maybe Olaf. Yeah, I'll give it some thought. Making YouTube videos is a lot of work. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. So it says buy Microsoft, Amazon now, or wait till earnings. Jason on YouTube says that. Jason, I think I'm gonna have to think about that. I can't say for sure at the moment. The fundamentals, probably a good idea to get in now. I mean, the fundamentals are there for these companies. Like Microsoft, it's not going anywhere. Incredible staying power. Uber and Netflix, which should I grow into more in a position? Abdul, that's a really good question, actually. Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. I haven't been asked Uber or Netflix. I'm leaning towards Uber. Just a quick answer to a quick question. I'm leaning towards Uber, but yeah, I mean, Netflix could turn around. Netflix is their letter to shareholder. That was bad. That's why I say lean towards Uber. It was not great. Their second quarter earnings. Can we talk about Bloom Energy? Yeah, I mean, what about them? Are we going to see Bloom above $250, $300 a share anytime soon? No, I don't think we are. They've got cool stuff going on, but it's probably bearish territory ahead for Bloom. That's what I would think. When should we look at SpaceX? I'm going to take a look at SpaceX between 60 and 70 a share and see what support levels look like at that point. For now, SpaceX is probably a fantastic short. SpaceX will never be worth all the hype. We'll see, Ben. I like, listen, 10 years from now, SpaceX could be the next, the next Google. They're pretty much one of the only players in the world doing what they do. It's the merger with the XAI thing that's causing all this mess. And the whole plan on putting data centers in space. I mean, for those of you who are like, unsure about SpaceX, go read the S1. Go read the prospectus. I mean, it's going to take a while. It's like a 285-page document, but go check it out. Do I see a turnaround for Oracle? Yeah, they can turn things around, but I don't like them right now. Take on Intel. Intel's, yeah. So, what happened with Intel today? Like, a lot of people, I think, were taking profits on Intel's latest news. Very encouraging signs from Intel on their latest earnings report. A lot of things to like. I'm still neutral bearish on Intel. It's going to take a long time for them to get the foundry up and running. Will their ideas ever be profitable is the question. Yeah, I think that's the right question about SpaceX, though, Ben. Yeah. What do you look at to determine if a stock is a buy? I look at its quarterly and annual filings. I look at who its customers are. I look at how it manages its cash. I look at profit margins. I look at what it plans on doing to growing. I look at its balance sheet. I look at its use of what its plans are as far as raising capital, whether that's debt or equity. I look at all kinds of who runs the thing, who runs the company. There's some technical factors I look at, like all types of stuff. All types of stuff. Is Boeing going to be 500? That's a long time till you hit that point again. Yeah, I mean, a very, very, yeah, no, not anytime soon. TSM or ASML? To be honest, Alex, I feel like ASML, long-term ASML, but they're like, again, it's kind of like choosing between Michael Jordan and LeBron, right? I mean, people have their choice, and they'll defend their choice till kingdom come. But there's a lot of stuff to like about both of them. To be honest, I think the lithography game is a little bit more valuable, but again, a ton to like about both of them. Is Lululemon going to rebound? Once the founder and the board of directors stop fighting, I mean, talk about a toxic relationship. In the meantime, the company suffers. Yes, it can happen. I want to love this stock. I really do. I think the brand, the IP and the brand value of Lululemon and everything that they've got is awesome. They got extremely valuable intangibles and IP on their balance sheet. They can't stop arguing with each other. Which app is this? This is Yahoo Finance. What are they arguing about? As far the latest information I saw is that they're arguing about what markets they want to focus in next and a whole bunch of other issues. Thoughts on the Jersey Mike's IPO? To be honest, I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be with what Jersey Mike's had. I think that they're probably they're gonna be priced at a premium valuation. I think. I've got their S1. I just pulled up Jersey Mike's S1. They've got a decent margin. they've got, I mean, their advertising fee is pretty good. I mean, here's the growth rates for, revenue, EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA, net income. It's all pretty good. I think that once they go public, though, the market's like they're gonna have a really, really solid day and maybe a really solid week or month, and then kind of like SpaceX, the party will be over. A 20% compound annual growth rate, though, is impressive, especially over the last couple of years. We'll see what kind of valuation. I don't know what their share price is or their target share price is supposed to be. There's a ton of things to like about it. Earnings, though, I thought were okay. Still got to finish reading it, though. Who eats subs? A lot of people do. A lot of people do. I mean, $4.2 billion worth. So, what makes Apple one of your favorites? Apple is the moat, the brand, their earnings, the different lines of business that they're in. And I mean, the company's an absolute fortress. I think Apple's probably going to be around after my grandkids are gone. I'm probably never going to share my shares in Apple, or sell my shares in Apple, I should say. Is Palantir a buy at the discounted price? I don't think Palantir's. I mean, historically speaking, in the immediate context of things, it's discounted. No, I don't like Palantir at this price. It's very expensive. Here's the thing with Palantir, and I mentioned this on my YouTube video that I did on Palantir, and you guys can go watch it if you want. Palantir, even if they had 30% year-over-year free cash flow growth for the next 5 years, and even if their stock price stabilized a little bit, on a discounted future free cash flow basis, the fair value of the company is somewhere around like $50 a share. Do I think that's a massive, is it worth more than that? Yeah, I do. Maybe. But right now it's very expensive. Its growth has been incredible. Don't get me wrong, but its cost of capital is nearly 15%. On a DCF analysis, that massively reduces the value of your future free cash flow. It's a challenge. I can see why people like Palantir. I think the business is strong. I don't like it at this price, though. Morally, I disagree with Palantir. That's also another thing. I also don't like how their CEO thinks short sellers should be sprayed with fentanyl-laced urine with drones. So, there's that. Alex Karp's a weirdo. Not a fan of the guy. And he's running the show there, so say what people have their thoughts about him. CoreWeave, explain, please. Druba, you can go to my YouTube channel, my YouTube video on CoreWeave. CoreWeave is a total loser. Total loser. I hope it continues being a total loser. This is not a good business. It's not. Its valuation is not justified at all. Riddled with debt, good revenue growth, even worse margin growth. Margins losses are expanding as revenue grows. Horrible quality of earnings, and just not good. Oh, and I just got tagged for harassment and bullying. Awesome. Cool. I shouldn't have used that word. My bad. So anyway, yeah, not a fan of it. Thoughts on MicroStrategy, MSTR? Yeah, it's a house of cards. House of cards. This is not gonna do well. Why do a lot of AI leaders love it though? Because they love the extra capacity that CoreWeave's giving them. Basically, they can get GPU, they can get compute at a discounted price relative to their development costs for their AI models. Once the development's complete, though, they'll have no need for CoreWeave anymore, or a lot of other neoclouds like Nebius, like potentially IREN, these types of things. Rocket Lab or SpaceX? Rocket Lab for now. Short duration inflation linked bonds is inflation protection. That's a thought, Alex. I mean, you can go for tips if you want. I like gold as my hedge. I use gold as my hedge. I'm just blown away by how much this conversation feels foreign. What are y'all doing? We're talking about stocks, Daniel. Snapchat? Yeah, how is Snapchat doing? They're still clipping along, huh? Still barely making it. Yeah. I'll pass. I'll pass on Snapchat. Is Elon merging about serious about merging Tesla and SpaceX? I didn't hear that. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, though. Really wouldn't be surprised if he did. Fermi Inc. I need a ticker. Can you give me a ticker? Bitmine Immersion Technologies. I've never heard of this company. Who are these guys? Financial services. They've got 3 employees. 3 employees in Las Vegas doing financial services and capital markets, and they operate blockchain technology. Yep, sounds about right. ETH Treasury operation, Bitcoin ecosystem services, including consulting and advisory engagements, equipment leasing. I'll pass. Yeah, they're and they're losing a lot of money. What's the what do their fundamentals look like? Oh yeah, hard pass. No thanks. Nope. BMR's Tom Lee MicroStrategy. I mean, that's cool. Cool. Do I like IREN? I think IREN's expensive. It moved in the right direction today. Again, I'm not like my long term. Am I bullish on them long term? Not really though. Even if they were very, very discounted in price, not that excited about them. Higher rates equal more opportunity cost for holding gold, so how's it a hedge? Because inflation goes up, Alex. So if inflation goes up, the buying power of your dollar goes down. So that means the main medium of exchange for any goods and services loses value. Something that's not correlated to that is gold. IREN alternative, probably NBIS. I would consider NBIS. Potential in Tesla. Thought on Elon? No, I'm not an investor in Tesla. I'm not an investor in automotives. So it's kind of like a double no on Tesla for me because the valuation makes no sense to me, and B, I don't like to buy car companies. They're way too cyclical. Margins are too thin. Their cost structures can get very complicated very fast. Their income statements can be a total mess sometimes. I'm not a fan of car companies. Cool cars, yeah. I mean, does history tell us not to bet against Elon Musk? Certainly does. But I'm not I wouldn't buy Tesla. I'm not going to buy Rivian, Ford, Lucid, any of this. General Motors, no. I'll pass. Eli Lilly. I mean, they're the leader in the GLP-1 game, right? There's a lot to like about them. Fermi Inc. Oh, it's a REIT. Oh, okay. Got it. Gigawatts of experience to create the world's largest 11 gigawatt next private grid. Behind the meter project Matador campus is expected to integrate the nation's biggest combined cycle natural gas project. That is incorporated on January 10th of last year in Amarillo. Cool. As a REIT, interesting. What's their yield? Yeah, they don't have one because they're losing money. No, nope. It's okay. I mean, ultimately, it's about owning the real estate that develops the energy for data centers. I'll pass. USAR. Oh yeah, I remember these guys. No, I'm not a fan of these guys either. I think. Listen, are rare earth metals important? Yes. Is there a futures market for every single rare earth metal? To my knowledge, no. So if I want exposure to some, if there are rare earth metals that I want exposure to that this company mines that I can't get it from a futures market, I would consider it. But buying mining companies and that kind of stuff is not something I'm interested in. It's because the true value lies in the commodity itself, and I don't want to put a business and all of its expenses in the way of that. So, Ty, I mean, I get why people like it. Uh, to be honest, not a huge fan of it. It's been okay this year. Basically been flat. They've gone all over the place. Makes sense. So we'll see what ends up happening. Think Novo Nordisk is coming back to great heights? I could see it. Yeah, I could see it with Novo Nordisk. The very solid European pharmaceutical. Applied Digital. As far as I'm aware, Applied Digital is yeah, it's Applied Digital. I get Applied Digital and another confused a lot. Applied Digital, here's what's I don't like about them, Ben. I'm about to show you. That's what I don't like about Applied Digital. Revenue's growing, margins are getting worse. And they've had to raise money. They've had to raise debt. It appears that they've had to raise debt. With that big of financing inflows and then your liabilities go up like that, you're bloating your balance sheet more. Quarterly basis, it looks very similar. Fundamentals don't look great. So it's probably a high conviction growth play. They're in the right space. They're exciting. I'm just not. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. DaVita, the dialysis company. DaVita Inc., DVA. These guys. To be honest, I don't know a ton about this business. DaVita recently garnered attention as Moon Capital managed to exit its position with 174% total return. Nice. Super low beta, lowish PE, high earnings. How's it been so far this year? Wow. Huh. I had no idea this was going on. Interesting. Some people have had some really good days with DaVita. Is there like a strong bull case for him? Still? Outlook Therapeutics just said their best news. Check it out on the moon now. Michael, do we have a ticker for him? Should I sell? I've had DaVita since $23 a share. Oh man, well there you go. That's 10x your money. There's a lot to like about him at that price. So you've had him for what? 20 years? Almost 20 years? It's pretty good. That's pretty good. There's not a lot of opportunities where you can realize 10x on your investment. Does VWRP act as a sort of core holding that makes sense? Just who is this? VWRP. Which Vanguard fund? Oh, this is a FTSE fund. Yeah, I mean, so when you go into index funds like this or ETFs that are similar to this, there's a reason why people do it. This is a good place. Like if you want to park your money in something like this and forget about it, that's not a bad idea in my view. I have preferred Vanguard funds that I pick. For those like European investors who are watching, I'm sure that there are like, some FTSE or DAX funds that they offer. I like VOO. That's my favorite Vanguard fund. But there are reasons to like it. And there's There's a reason why people have done pretty well holding the whole market at once. Super microcomputer. Yeah, that's an interesting one, Ben. Yeah, it is. Target price for TTWO is $285 a share. That's my target key. Or chi. That could change, though, with Q2 earnings. EOS Energy Enterprises. Oh, fun. Okay. All right, we're barely out of microcap status. I remember looking at these guys a while back. Yeah. Someone had sent me a message that I saw some conversations about these guys. I think it's really an energy storage play. As far as the as far as like what's going to end up happening with them, we'll see. It's risky. I mean, they're losing a lot of money. Successfully completed a rights offering, raising $37 million, contributing a total of $263 million for its joint venture. I'll pass, to be honest. I'm not these are super high execution risk plays. These, micro cap, small cap companies, and the energy space nonetheless is, not a huge fan of it, to be honest. Do you like AEHR? Huge backlog bookings, poor free cash flow per share, revenue growth, ROIC last few years. Let's check it out. Oh, wow. They had a rough day. Jeez. So they've had a strong outlook. I believe these guys are kind of like, semiconductors. So what I'd love to know about these guys is what the difference is between them and someone like Micron or AMAT. Like what is their Fox CP? Why is that better? Or what does that do for that other semiconductors can't? Don't know. I haven't looked at the books on this company. I haven't looked at like what their main revenue streams are. It could be like a different space in the microsector or the semiconductor sector that could make it different. So we'll have to see. I mean, we can look at a very basic view of what financials have been. That's not gonna. It'll tell us enough to give us a temperature check. Okay, so declining revenue and declining profitability, and what looks like an equity raise in 2026, with quarterly numbers look like there was a significant improvement from Q1 to Q2, which is good. Not a very big balance sheet for, what is that, $250 million in assets for a $2.47 billion valuation. I mean, I'd have to look under the hood. Of course, there could be something there. At face value, it's not like, I'd rather get into something like Super Microcomputer or something like this, or maybe AMAT. What software am I using? This is Yahoo Finance, and then this is Barron's right here. This company tests the chips using a wafer machine for burn tests. Got it. SanDisk? SanDisk got a rough day. Rough day for a lot. Yeah, rough day for a lot of companies, especially the semi and memory space. Ouch, 11%, 10.8% down today. I don't think the movement today was SanDisk's fault. I think this is a lot of investors getting spooked. I think there's some macro things going on that are spooking people, and I think that Google earnings earlier this week may have something to do with that as well. We'll see, though. Your SanDisk biggest account. Nice. OTLK. All right, Michael's been asking about OTLK. I see you, Michael. Who are these guys? Outlook Therapies. Oh, jeez. Okay. All right, received FDA approval for Litanava. Awesome. Making the first FDA-approved ophthalmic formulation of I don't even know how to say that. Cool. Congratulations to them. That's big. Developing, commercializing a monoclonal antibodies for ophthalmic indications. Its lead product candidate is ONS 5010 and ophthalmic. Yeah, not going to try and pronounce that. Formulation of bevacizumab product candidate that's in phase 3 trial. So it's it's a eye therapy play. I have no idea how the medicine or the biology or the biomechanics of how all that stuff works. I have no idea how the FDA approval process works. The phase 3 clinical trials, all this stuff, I don't know. I typically avoid investing in things I don't understand. So Michael, I mean, the news is exciting. Don't get me wrong. That's awesome. I don't understand it though. I'm probably not going to invest on that. Is it insider info trying to get a biotech stock pre-FDA? Like, what way would I go about it? What do you mean what would be insider info about buying a biotech stock pre-FDA approval? What's info? I don't understand that question. Like, how would I go about finding out whether it's going to get FDA approval, you mean? I don't know. That's why I typically avoid microcap, pharmaceutical, biotech, plays like that. It's not my thing. Can you explain why Google earnings was bad? So like at face value, purely from a numbers perspective, it wasn't that bad. What was concerning to a lot of investors is their increased capex spending. They were they had negative cash flow for the first time ever for Google. Increased capex spending guidance. And on top of that, they also have a lot of off-balance sheet debt that they will eventually, if they already are, liable for. So the concern is the sustainability of this for some investors. That's why I think next week's going to be really interesting to see with Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon, because it appears that they're following in a similar suit. Don't know that yet, but they could be. Is financials a solid sector choice? I think so, Alex. I mean, I hold JP Morgan stock. Probably never going to get rid of it, just like my Apple position. Do you think the bubble's going to crash soon or rise? To be honest, I think we're going to continue to see more upside before we see a large correction. I'm not going to call when that happens, though. Earlier this stream, somebody asked me, like, when. I think we're in, like, the 6th inning out of 9. Could be later than that, though. Do I think Google will go down more? We'll see. We'll see with Google. Do I currently have a job? I do this in consulting work on the side. So as far as a traditional W-2, no, I'm all in on myself at the moment. I did have that, but not anymore. SMR or OKLO? I would say OKLO, Philip. Again, I'd have to look closer at the fundamentals and that kind of stuff. S&P 500 QQQ is a solid long-term investment for more than 20 plus. I think so. Yeah. Google 16 PE cheaper. What? Go look at their adjusted EPS. That it changes stuff. The PE ratio for Google right now is a little misleading. 16 it's higher than that. You just got to put the Q2 earnings into context. And if you look at it on a forward adjusted basis, it changes. So that's why you got to go look at the filings. That's why you got to read everything they say. How long have I been investing for? 2 decades. A little more than that. When you're all in on yourself, it's possible to have good health care. Yeah, it's possible. It's not as easy or as good as traditional employer insurance, but you can still get coverage. ALKS. Do I think Oracle's going to survive? Yeah, I think Oracle's going to survive, but there's some issues with what's going on at Oracle at the moment. I'm not buying stock in Oracle at the moment. I think there's a lot of the face value financial metrics of Oracle are a little misreading. What was my worst loss? I bought stock in Macy's a while back, like 10 years ago. Lost some money on that. My biggest recent loss is probably ABR. It's a REIT that I bought at around $15-16 a share, and it's around $5 a share at the moment. I haven't sold my position yet, though, because it's amazing yield. Okay, Alkermes PLC. What is this? Irish drug manufacturer? Okay, cool. Portfolio proprietary commercial products for the treatment of opioid dependence, alcohol, schizophrenia, bipolar 1. Its marketed products include Aristana. Cool. Interesting. Interesting. Let's look. Pharmaceuticals, I definitely need to like brush up more on. I need to learn more about it and how all that stuff works. As far as recent financials are concerned, downtrending revenue and margins, which isn't ideal on a quarterly basis. Looks like we lost money in Q1. That could be seasonal, though. So maybe Q2, 3, and 4 things will pick up. Yeah, probably okay. I'd have to look under the hood and take a look at the numbers. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a stream. I'm kind of tired. But I appreciate everyone tuning in. I had a ton of fun with talking with you guys this afternoon. So thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time here, thanks so much for joining. Really appreciate all the new names in here. Drop a follow if you haven't already. I do this every day during the week. I live stream every day during the week. So I will not be on tomorrow or Sunday. However, I do post content pretty frequently here on TikTok. I also am pretty active on YouTube. I started a YouTube channel. I just posted a long form, like 36-minute video on this company right here, ISRG. Just did my long form content on this company. Pretty long deep dive. Went into the weeds on this one. Really insane business. Super interesting technology, but expensive. It's an expensive stock. So anyway, go check out YouTube, my YouTube channel. The link's in the bio. Go hit subscribe there. I would love for you guys to do that. I always appreciate everybody who does that. So that's where you'll get more detailed answers if you weren't satisfied with what I said today. We'll be back. We'll definitely continue this conversation. So thank you so much, everybody, for double tapping the screen, hanging out, that kind of stuff. I will be back. We will be back. Another thing, too, just as a quick warning, I'm only going to be here Monday next week. And then I'm gone the rest of the week. I'm going to be out of town, away from my streaming setup. So, maybe some IRL stream, stuff like that. But stay tuned. More content is coming. Anyway, I got to run, guys. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. And we'll see all you lovely people on Monday. Take care.